Welcome to your daily dose of sci-fi adventures. New stories dropped every single day. Smash that subscribe button and ring the to help us reach 1,000 subscribers and unlock even more epic cosmic tales. The Argonaut drifted silent and silver beneath the vast expanse of the Epsilon Expanse, its crystalline hull catching stray starlight like a jeweler's gem. Inside, the corridors were wide and softly illuminated by bioluminescent panels, their gentle glow pulsing in time with the ship's core. Here, every wall, every walkway, even the containers lining the storage bays had been adapted to Orinthian physiology. Tall, broad-framed beings like Commander Talia 7LX moved with a quiet grace, their heavy bones supported by reinforced alloys and gravity-adaptive fields. Talia stood before the main viewport of the observation deck, her immense silhouette framed by the dust-speckled void. From this vantage, she could see the telltale blue-white of human engine Zerth's flagship, the horizon gliding toward them on thrusters no larger than tiny fireflies. From her perspective, her heart beat in slow, powerful rhythms. Her silver skin reflected the shimmer of distant nebulae, and her emerald eyes held both hope and wariness. Distance closing to 98,000 kilometers, intoned the ship's AI, a calm female voice in perfect Orinthian common. Horizons classification, United Earth Coalition, Class Omega. No weapons signatures yet detected. Oxygen atmosphere nominal. Talia inhaled deliberately. The Argonaut's mission was peaceful, to share with Union partners the secrets of crystal-based superconductors and gravimetric resonance fields, technology her people had perfected over centuries. In return, the Orinthians sought agricultural trade and cultural exchange. But the Coalition's reputation preceded it: secretive, suspicious, at times ruthlessly pragmatic. In Coalition eyes, species that deviated from the human norm were often relegated to second-class status at best, quarantined or exploited at worst. And Talia's very existence challenged their strictures. At 2.7 meters tall and fortified with an internal skeleton twice as dense as human bone, she was an anomaly. Her calm badge flashed. Lieutenant Saru, one of her most trusted officers, appeared on the holoscreen. His slender form and olive complexion betrayed his Terran heritage, one of the many examples of cross-species integration that Orinthia quietly fostered. "Commander," Saru said, voice taut, "Coalition vessels are holding pattern. Their communications relay is requesting docking protocols. They want us to power down outer shields and proceed to airlock 5. Talia's heart clenched. "Standard courtesy," she murmured, smoothing the front of her uniform jacket. "Prepare the team. I'll meet them at the docking bay." Moments later, Talia strode through the wide passage to docking bay 5. She was accompanied by Tagard's Orinthian Marines, whose massive frames would dwarf a human tank. They wore heavy-duty exoskeletons inscribed with crystalline filigree, each armed with stun lances to incapacitate rather than kill. The giant airlock doors slid open with a low hiss. Beyond lay the Horizon's antechamber, its human officers standing in neat rows. They looked up at her, eyes flicking from her imposing height to the mass of her shoulders, then back to the figure at their center, Lieutenant Marcus Reeve. Marcus was average by Terran standards, 1.8 meters tall, lean, with close-cropped brown hair and deep-set hazel eyes. He wore the Coalition's midnight blue uniform, the sleeves crisply pressed and the insignia of his rank glinting on his collar. Even here, beneath the artificial lights, Talia could sense his curiosity and caution in equal measure. "Commander Talia 7LX, Marcus began, inclining his head. "On behalf of the United Earth Coalition, I welcome you." His voice was steady, respectful. "I am Lieutenant Marcus Reeve, Science Liaison." She inclined her head in return. "Lieutenant Reeve." "Thank you." Her voice was lower, resonant, carrying a gentle accent molded by the harmonics of Orinthian speech. "I trust your journey was uneventful." "Smooth as the void," he replied, offering his hand. She hesitated only a fraction of a second before placing her broad palm in his. The ambient sensors registered her grip but measured pressure beneath that surface calm. She withdrew her hand gracefully. Saru stepped forward, his tone brisk. "Our proposal is ready for review." I believe you will find our quantum crystal matrix yields efficiency 23% above your current Rubicon standard. Marcus's gaze sharpened. I looked forward to examining the data. He motioned toward an adjacent chamber. Right this way. Talia led the way down a sloping corridor lit by soft violet bands. She noticed how Marcus's gait adapted slightly to the incline, how the guards tightened their stances, but mostly she observed his eyes, keen, thoughtful, and unself-consciously brilliant. They entered the demonstration hall, a cavernous space ringed with holoscreens, workstations, and a central dais on which a lattice of emerald crystals hummed with contained energy. A panel lit up as Saru approached, displaying complex schematics of Orinthian gravimetric conduits. "Behold the crystal lattice," Saru announced. "When you pass a controlled photonic beam through this array, the resulting entanglement stabilizes, spacetime fluctuations enabling propulsion with negligible mass consumption." He brought up comparative graphs, Orinthian reactors superseded by every major human design. Under identical parameters, Marcus walked slowly around the dais. "Fascinating," he murmured. "If this scales, it could revolutionize civilian transport and military logistics." He tapped a line on the screen. "We'll need to run atmospheric degradation models, power resonance buffers." His fingers danced across the holo interface. Talia permitted herself a small smile. "Our people have long recognized that star travel must be sustainable. Orinthia's resource constraints made inefficiency a death sentence centuries ago." Their conversation deepened into polite scientific debate. Gregory's protocols versus Orinthian modular shielding, authentication of data streams, encryption standards. Talia found she enjoyed the rhythm of collaboration, each suggestion, each counterpoint, a bridge being built between civilizations. Yet beneath the technical exchange, she felt a current of something else, an electric tension she had never known outside the symbiotic bond of her homeworld's crystal clades. When the session wound down, Marcus turned to her. "Why come to US now? Your technology is so advanced, why share it with Earth?" There was no accusation in his voice, only genuine curiosity. She paused, searching for the right words. "Because isolation breeds stagnation. Orinthia's legacy is one of harmony, with our planet and among ourselves. But the universe is vast and lonely. We sought partners, friends with whom to grow." She met his gaze, unflinching. "We believe in unity." He nodded slowly. "A noble ideal." He glanced toward the viewport, where the cosmos spread infinite and unfathomable. "And yet, the coalition. We fear the unknown." Talia felt the weight of his words. "Fear is the mind's shadow. Understanding is its light." She took a step closer. "Let me show you Orinthia's world. One day, I hope, you'll stand on its surface and feel the crystal gardens basking in twin suns." Marcus's eyes softened. "I would like that," he said. Their conversation ended when the base alarms chimed, a signal that the Argonaut's data uplink to Coalition Command had completed its handshake. A disembodied voice crackled through the speakers. "Gentlemen, lady, this is Admiral Cavros. We acknowledge receipt of preliminary Orinthian data. Proceed with joint testing under secure protocols. Maintain diplomatic courtesies, but do not deviate from coalition guidelines." Silence fell. Talia and Marcus exchanged a glance fraught with unspoken meanings. Protocol had its limits. The gulf between Orinthian openness and human caution loomed again. Yet for the first time, Talia felt the stirrings of hope in Marcus's steady gaze. She glimpsed someone who saw her not as too big or not breeding material, but as a being of value and equal. Their alliance, born of technology, might yet become something more profound. As the Horizon's airlock disengaged and the docking bay lights dimmed to welcome them in full, Talia inhaled deeply. The night sky of space was immense, but so was possibility. Beyond these walls, beyond fear, beyond the vast dark, she would find her place. And perhaps she dared to hope, even find love. Talia strode onto the Horizon's science deck each morning with the same quiet determination she'd worn since stepping through the airlock. Here, the narrow corridors and low ceilings felt almost claustrophobic compared to the broad halls of the Argonaut, but she moved with practiced grace, mindful of her frame as she ducked beneath bulkhead arches and skirted around consoles. The human scientists clustered around their workstations, faces bright with curiosity, or was it surprise, as she entered. She offered them a gentle nod in greeting. Lieutenant Marcus Reeve was already there, crouched over a holodeble where crystalline combs of Orinthian data glowed. He looked up and smiled. "Good morning, Commander." His voice held a warmth she was learning to crave. "Good morning, Lieutenant," she replied. They spent the next hour poring over quantum resonance tests. Talia demonstrated how she tuned her own bioemitter, an organ unique to Orinthian physiology, to stabilize the crystal lattice. When fluctuations spiked, Marcus recorded every adjustment, eyes alight. As she worked, she noticed him glance often at more than the holodeble, his gaze flickering to the subtle curve of her wrist, the gentle ripple of muscle beneath her sleeve, the way her silver blue hair fell across her shoulder. When the data logs finally synced, Marcus leaned back and ran a hand through his hair. "This collaboration, it's more successful than I imagined. The efficiency improvements alone could add decades to coalition exploration missions." He tapped a finger on the glass surface. "But there's more here, isn't there?" Talia paused. "What do you mean?" He met her eyes. "Your people's integration of biology and technology. You don't just use tools, you become one with them. That has emotional resonance. I wonder what it costs, what you gain." Her breath caught. Most conversations until now had skirted strictly around science. Yet here he was, asking questions no protocol demanded. She folded her arms, considering. "On Orinthia, harmony is paramount. We cultivate technology that augments our natural forms, and in turn our biology adapts. We have no concept of separation between living and machine. It is symbiosis. So there's no stigma." He said softly. "No one fears you." A flicker of pain passed over Talia's eyes. "Among certain coalition factions, there is fear. They see my size and assume aggression. They question my fertility, my compatibility. You, however, treat me as an equal." He straightened. "You've earned that respect." His voice was firm, but she detected an undercurrent of something else, something quieter, more vulnerable. That afternoon, a scheduled zero-G trial awaited them in the ship's centrifuge deck. The vessel pitched gently as it entered a microgravity corridor. Padded walls and magnetic handholds lined the chamber. Marcus had arranged for Talia to experience true weightlessness, both a test of her physiology and an opportunity for them to share a moment away from prying eyes. When the deck doors hissed open, Talia inhaled the recycled air and felt the first soft pull toward the center of the chamber. She extended her arms aloft, hair drifting like liquid silver round her head. Marcus hovered nearby, anchored by a strap at his waist. "Float to me," he called, voice echoing off the metal walls. She pushed off gently, her frame gliding toward him with surprising grace. He reached out, fingertips brushing hers. For an instant, time suspended. Talia studied the expression. On his face, fascination, empathy, and something deeper she could not name. "Thank you," she whispered, as she drifted past and looped back. He laughed, a sound that resonated through her bones. "Thank you for the honor." They spent 20 minutes twisting and twirling in midair, tracing arcs that would have been impossible on Orinthia's heavy gravity. She showed him how an Orinthian clasp and adaptive joint she wore on her hip could lock into one of his harness rings, allowing them to pivot around each other. At one point their torsos brushed, and Talia felt a tremor ripple through her, both physiological and emotional. She caught her breath and pulled away, cheeks warming in microgravity. Later that evening, Commander Talia found herself drawn to the hydroponics bay, where rows of human and alien flora intermingled beneath blue growth lights. The air was humid, scented faintly of Earth's jasmine vine and Orinthia's crystalline orchids. Marcus was there, kneeling beside a small tamuri fern, adjusting its nutrient feed. "Talia," he greeted, standing to help her with lighter steps than on the science deck. "I thought you might come." She smiled. "This place reminds me of home." She knelt beside him, careful to keep her knees at a level that wouldn't crush the lower shelves. "On Orinthia, our gardens are open-air fields of violet and silver stretching to twin suns." She closed her eyes, recalling the warm, breeze that resonated through the crystal petals like wind through glass. He listened, eyes soft. "Tell me more," encouraged. She described the ancient orchard of whispers, where every flower held memories. A petal unfolded, and a memory bloomed a love lost. A treaty signed, the birth of a new generation. The Corinthians recorded history in living gardens. Marcus's fingers hovered over the fern's frond, tracing its curve. "Your people, you've turned remembrance into something tangible." His voice was awed. "I wish we had that on Earth. We build monuments, write books, but memories fade." Talia's heart tightened. Perhaps memory can be reborn. She reached out to touch his hand. "Perhaps we can learn from each other." Their eyes met in the half-light. She saw a depth of feeling there that went beyond academic interest. Hesitantly, she laid her hand atop his. Her skin felt cool against his warmth. Marcus closed his fingers around hers as if afraid she might slip away. Over the following days, their bond deepened in unexpected ways. They spent long evenings in the Wreck Bay, poring over Corinthian epics translated into holotexts. Talia attempted to teach him the fluid script of her home world. Each character a delicate lattice of strokes, Marcus, ever patient, practiced until his stylus hand cramped. In return, he read to her from the poetry of Keats, his voice rich with cadence even if the words felt strange on Talia's tongue. One afternoon, the horizon's calms alerted them to an unplanned meteor shower passing nearby. Marcus led Talia to the fighter bay's observation dome, a broad, curved viewport offering an unobstructed view of the starfield. Through high-velocity sensors they tracked each glowing rock as it blazed across the void. "Back home," Marcus murmured, "we call this the tears of the sky." He pointed to a branching cluster of meteors that burst like jeweled fireworks. Talia leaned close, her breath misting the glass. "On Orinthia, we believe they are seed stars birthing new worlds." She pressed her forehead gently against the viewport, as if to feel their pulse. Marcus edged closer, and their reflections overlapped, two silhouettes framed by cosmic pyrotechnics. He reached out to tuck a lock of silver-blue hair behind her ear, brushing his thumb across the fine strands. Talia felt her pulse race and realized, with both exhilaration and dread, that she was entirely unprepared for this closeness. Her mind drifted to the warnings she'd been given. Humans were nomadic, passionate, unpredictable. She had come to observe, to teach, to share knowledge but not to share her heart. She pulled back, smile trembling. "This has been beautiful. Thank you." She turned and left before he could respond, footsteps heavy in the hush of the deck. That night, Talia lay on the observation deck's reclining seats, staring at the moving tapestry of stars overhead. She felt an ache within her chest, a tightening she could neither dismiss nor name. Marcus's face swam behind her closed lids, his gentle smile, the way he listened, the warmth of his hand in hers. She sat up, silent tears glittering on her cheeks. Footsteps sounded behind her. Marcus approached, carrying 2 cups of chamomile tea. He sat beside her, offering one. Talia accepted it with a single nod, raising it to her lips. The warmth spread through her, calming the storm within. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I overstepped." She shook her head, impressed by his candor. "No, I've not known this before. You've shown me kindness and I'm not sure what to do with it." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Kindness is a simple thing, but it can feel profound." He paused, drawing in a breath. "Talia, I care for you more than I've ever cared for anyone." Her heart thundered. "Lieutenant, He gently laid a finger to her lips. "Call me Marcus." In that single word, all protocol fell away. She searched his hazel eyes so human, so honest, and let her own defenses crumble. Leaning forward, she placed her lips to his. It was a tender confession, a meeting of worlds, a bridge spanning biology and culture, a promise of something neither fully understood, but both desperately wanted. The long seconds that followed felt infinite. When they finally broke apart, Talia laid her forehead against his. "I do not know what comes next," she whispered. Marcus rested his cheek against hers. "We'll discover it together." And, as the stars wheeled overhead, the distance between Orinthia and Earth grew smaller than ever before, measured only by the uncharted terrain of two hearts opening to each other. The horizon hummed like a living thing as it slid into the uncharted Perseus corridor. Dark tendrils of interstellar gas stretching between distant suns. In the ship's corridor, lights dimmed to preserve power, and the faint thrum of fusion. Reactors pulsed beneath the deck plating. Talia found herself restless, feet shifting beneath her as she made her way to the observation deck. She anticipated Marcus would already be there, perhaps gazing out at the nebulae, as if reading a living manuscript. She entered silently. Marcus stood before the viewport, arms crossed over his chest, his profile bathed in emerald and sapphire light. He turned at her approach, and his eyes softened. In that moment, the weight of command and protocol slipped from both of them, leaving only two souls adrift in the cosmos. "Evening," he murmured, gesturing to the whirl of cosmic dust outside. "They say this nebula is rich in xenon pristine fuel for plasma drives." Talia stepped closer, her silhouette broad against the fragile beauty of the void. "On Orinthia, we call it the Veil of Whispers," she said. "Legends say it holds echoes of ancient worlds' voices carried on solar winds, waiting to be heard." He smiled, and something tender flickered in his eyes. "Would you share one of those whispers with me?" She pressed her palm to the glass, letting her bio-emitter awaken. A soft hum rose from her fingertips, and the nebula's glow deepened, veins of light dancing like living strands. In the quiet that followed, she spoke in low tones, recounting a story older than any star chart of a world swallowed by its own pride, of crystal guardians who wept stardust to heal the scarred sky. As she spoke, Marcus listened, enraptured by the cadence of her voice and the way her silhouette trembled with each remembrance. When she fell silent, the nebula dimmed, the deck remained hushed. Marcus reached out, placing his hand over hers against the viewport. The contact sent a thrill through Talia's marrow, an electric affirmation of their bond. "Thank you," he whispered, "for trusting me with your history and your heart." Her throat tightened. "I do not give my heart lightly." She turned to face him, standing so close that she could feel the soft heat radiating from his uniform. "But you have shown me what it means to be seen." His breath caught. He stepped nearer, until the curve of her waist brushed against him. "Talia, I love you." Her lips parted, and for a heartbeat she simply inhaled his words, echoing in the hollow chambers of her chest. "Marcus," she breathed, "I love you too." They met in a gentle embrace, her powerful arms gathering him as tenderly as mountain cliffs shelter fragile blossoms. He rested his forehead against hers, and for a time, the galaxy outside felt distant, a backdrop to the singular miracle of their union. Days later, an SOS beacon fractured the peace, a surveying vessel trapped in a gravitational eddy. Near a collapsing star, protocol demanded caution. Rescue operations in such a volatile zone were fraught with peril. Yet Marcus swerved beside Talia on the command console, voices low but fervent. Life support failing. The vessel's distress call crackled. Hull breach imminent. Marcus's knuckles whitened on the console rail. "We can't leave them." Talia's emerald eyes blazed. "I'll pilot an EVA pod. You coordinate. Tractor field parameters." In the airlock, she shed her ceremonial armor, revealing the flexible exosuit that molded to her form. Marcus helped seal the visor, fingers brushing her skin. "Come back to me," he whispered. "I will," she vowed, and stepped into the pod that seemed puny against the star's fierce corona. The hatch sealed, and the pod rocketed through the corridor. Outside, the odds stacked against her. Plasma jets and neutron flares danced dangerously close, and the star's gravity twisted the very fabric of space. Yet Talia moved with grace born of duty and love. She positioned the pod, extended her arms, and with concentrated effort augmented by her bio-emitter wove a shimmering tractor beam that reached at the battered hull of the stranded craft. Inside, the crew clung to life. When the beam latched, Talia reversed thrust, drawing them free just as a flare lanced out, vaporizing the pod's rear stabilizer. Alarms wailed, the pod spun. Talia's limbs straining, she refocused the beam, and Marcus's voice crackled in her ear, guiding her adjustments. Angle 12 degrees. Increase field intensity by 15%. She obeyed, panting as the burn threatened to tear her from the pod's restraints. Then, at the final moment, The craft cleared the eddy and slid into safe distance. The pod's emergency thrusters fired, curling her back toward the horizon. When she re-entered the airlock, Marcus was waiting, his uniform scorched at the collar, his eyes bright with relief and awe. He lunged forward, catching her in his arms before the restraints could clamp. She wrapped her legs round his waist, fingers tangled in his hair, and he crushed her to him. "You saved them," he gasped. "And you saved me from losing you." Talia's chest heaved. "We saved them together." He pressed a kiss to her forehead, and she felt the resonance of their hearts to rhythms, once separate, now inextricably intertwined. In the weeks that followed, the entire crew celebrated their bond. The Coalition Council, having monitored Talia's heroism and the exemplary cooperation between Orinthian and Terran, began to soften its stance on cross-species relations. Marcus and Talia found themselves at the center of diplomatic goodwill, their love story hailed as proof that unity could transcend biological divides. Yet beneath the accolades, a more intimate transformation took root. In private quarters, they studied medical scans suggesting an unexpected possibility. Talia's biology might indeed be compatible with human reproduction. The notion had been dismissed as legend. Orinthians long believed infertile with other species, but now data whispered otherwise. They pored over hormone assays and embryonic growth models, hands brushing as hope and wonder bloomed between them. One night, beneath the gentle glow of the cabin's synthetic moonlight, Marcus traced the faint curve of Talia's abdomen. "Whatever," he began, voice hushed. She placed a hand over his. "Then our child would be a testament to everything we fought for." He leaned forward, resting his head against her belly. "I can already hear its heartbeat." She smiled, tears glistening. "So can I." And as the ship drifted on toward new horizons, they prepared for the greatest voyage of all, the journey into parenthood, where love would forge a legacy neither species could have imagined alone. The weeks that followed their triumphant rescue mission were suffused with anticipation. The corridors of the horizon thrummed not only with the pulse of engines and the murmur of data streams, but with hushed excitement at the possibility born. Aboard, Commander Talia 7LX carried new life, an unprecedented fusion of Orinthian and human. As her silhouette grew fuller beneath the gentle curves of her exosuit, every footstep resonated like a soft drumbeat announcing the miracle within. One. Rumors and revelations. It began with casual murmurs in the mess hall, glances shared over steaming nutrient cups and half-finished protein cakes. Nurses on the med deck discreetly monitored Talia's vitals, comparing holographic scans in whispered conferences. Lieutenant Marcus Reeve found himself fielding questions from every department. "Head, how does she feel? When's the next scan? Should we prepare special accommodations?" Talia navigated their curiosity with grace. "Thank you," she told each in turn, her deep voice warm and steady. The child grows strong, yet behind her measured composure, she felt the first flutterings of doubt. She had never carried life beyond the controlled warmth of an Orinthian incubation cradle. This was wholly new. Would her hybrid child thrive? And would the Coalition truly embrace a new species in its ranks? One evening, Marcus joined her in the hydroponics bay, where tendrils of silver-leaved ferns curled round light rods. He placed a gentle hand on her belly. "How are you?" he asked, voice low. She closed her eyes, feeling the tiny pulses beneath the surface. Hopeful and frightened, she tilted her head to meet his gaze. "I have read your medical logs. Our child's heartbeat 120 beats per minute, stronger than many human infants, but softer than Orinthian norm." He smiled, brushing a fingertip over the skin readout hovering between them. "And perfectly balanced," he whispered. "Your body is giving us something no one ever believed possible." His words melted her fears. "Then let us prove them." "Right," she said, and pressed her lips to his. Coalition's dilemma. Not long after, Coalition Command issued a directive. All interspecies reproductive developments must be reviewed at the highest level. Marcus and Talia were summoned to a secure conference, flanked by Admiral Cavros and a panel of legal and medical experts. The room was austere, steel walls, holoprojectors lining the ceiling, zero-gravity coffee dispensers humming softly in the corner. The lead counsel, Commander Ibram Soul spoke without ceremony. Commander Talia, Lieutenant Reeve, congratulations are in order. Yet the Coalition has strict statutes regarding cross-species genetics. We must determine legally, ethically, logistically whether your child may be registered under Coalition law. Talia raised her head, silver blue hair framing her face. Our child is living. I do not seek exemptions, I seek recognition. Murky glances passed between the human officers. One cited Directive 917B. Another invoked Covenant Article Omega-3. Marcus reached past Talia to hold her hand, his hazel eyes resolute. This is not a theoretical. Life has already begun. We ask that the Coalition honor the spirit of unity it professes. Admiral Cavros regarded them in silence. Finally, he nodded. Article Omega-3 may be amended in extraordinary circumstances. I propose a provisional classification, subject to observation and integration protocols, with full rights if the child thrives post-birth. He tapped a control pad. Medical teams will join you aboard the Argonaut for the delivery. Once successful, we will formalize legal status. Relief flooded through Talia. Marcus squeezed her hand. Their bond, newly forged, had proven stronger than any regulation. The Coalition's compromise spoke of change and institutional shift guided by hope more than fear. 3. Journey to Orinthia with legalities tentatively settled. Plans turned to the birth itself. Talia insisted on returning to Orinthia to give their child its first breath under twin suns. The Horizon adjusted course, and in a matter of days they left the starlines charted by Terran navigators and entered the crystalline ether that marked Orinthian space. As they crossed the system's outer rim, the ship's hull shimmered with adaptive refractors tuned to the planet's unique radiation. Within the crew, excitement mingled with reverence. Few had ever witnessed a birth on Orinthia, let alone an interspecies one dot in private quarters reserved for them. Talia's suite, pulsed with gentle light, holographic petals drifted slowly across the ceiling, projecting images of Orinthian oaths and Terran lullabies. Marcus placed a recorder in one corner, capturing every tender word they would speak to their child. 4. The birth delivery chamber was an amalgam of Orinthian biodesign and human medical tech. Soft crystalline panels lined the walls, shifting hues in response to Talia's vital signs. A team of Orinthian midwives and Coalition physicians hovered, their combined expertise forming a protective circle around her. When the first contractions came, Talia stood with Marcus's hand in hers. She breathed through each wave, her massive form anchored to a crystalline support ring. He murmured encouragement, fingers entwined with hers, their warmth conversing in silence. Hours passed in a ritual of pain and perseverance. Talia's bioemitter glowed with every contraction, stabilizing her physiology and channeling energy to the child. Marcus knelt at her side, brushing sweat-slick strands of hair from her brow, whispering promises of a future they would build together. At last, with one final, resonant hum from Talia's emitter, a cry echoed through the chamber, a high, clear note that reverberated like a crystalline bell. The midwives lifted the newborn, its skin shimmering with a soft silver tint, and eyes the color of human starlight. Talia, trembling with exhaustion and wonder, bowed her head. Marcus rose behind her, laying a finger to the child's tiny heart. "Welcome," he whispered. "You are proof that love can alchemize the impossible." 5. A new dawn outside. Orinthia's twin suns peaked above crystalline mountains, painting the sky in ribbons of lavender and rose. Talia held her daughter gently, feeling her tiny fingers curl around one of her own. In that perfect moment, every trial, every whispered doubt, every cautious glance fell away. Admiral Cavros's voice crackled through their private comm. "Congratulations, Commander. Coalition records will be updated immediately. Your daughter is the first of a new chapter in interspecies unity." Talia's emerald eyes brimmed with tears. "Thank you," she breathed, voice thick with emotion. She turned to Marcus, who brushed a tear from her cheek. Their daughter cooed, and the sound was a melody that blended Orinthian resonance with human warmth. As family and medics departed for formalities, Talia and Marcus lingered beneath the crystalline dawn. He leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to their daughter's forehead. She watched him, heart full. "Do you think she'll walk among humans?" Talia asked softly. Marcus smiled, tracing a finger along their child's luminous cheek. "She'll walk wherever she chooses, Earth, crystal plains, the bridges between worlds. She'll be everything we dared to hope." Talia laid her head against his shoulder. "Then let us be worthy of her." Hand in hand, the three of them stepped into the new day of family born of stars and science, love and courage, ready to write the next chapter among the vast tapestry of the cosmos.